Hello, hi everyone. Welcome. So this is Lisa from Artist Palette. We are doing acrylic painting today. It's the Midnight Glow, so it's nice moth, beautiful colors, very bluey, slightly blue purple and some teals to make it pop. So I use an 8x10. This is an 8x10, and I put it in a frame so it looks a lot nicer, bigger, and it pulls out. I used a gold one, so it pulls out all of the gold I put into the rim and the edges of the wings here. So I think that's pretty cool. And you can use a pencil to start with your outline for your butterfly. Something that I recommend is what's kind of cool is if you take a piece of paper, you fold it in half, right? I've already drawn on this, but you fold it in half and you draw out your butterfly or your moth. See the wings, just one half of it with the body. And then you cut it out and then you open up and you have a perfectly symmetrical moth. So you can do that. You can also just wing it with me, as I guess I would say. So I have my primary colors. I like to reuse my palettes. I have my primary colors, yellow, red, blue. So this is phthalo blue. Gets that nice bright color. Non-orange red. So it's just more of a, it's like a bright red, but not, so again, it doesn't have any yellow in it. And it makes your blue and your blue purples look really, really nice. Optional to have is gold on the side. You can also just make what looks like a gold, it just won't be shiny metallic. And then for brushes, I have a couple detailed brushes here. So number 0, number 2, number 1. You don't have to use all of these. You can just have a number 0 and a number 2. And then I have a flat brush and a round number 6 brush. You can also use a very large flat brush to fill in your background. So you can pause and take your time throughout the video, of course. Let's start with putting our outline on, and for the circle that's going around where the moon is, you can also just use a circular object. So you can pretty much just use your cup to outline that kind of thing. I'm going to start with my brush. Okay, and then I'm going to just outline and make my outline for my butterfly, my moth. So let's do that. I am taking my blue paint here with a scoop of white. Okay, and then I'm adding a little touch of yellow. Let's take a touch more white. So going lighter is nice because then you can easily change it. If you go too dark, it's harder to change. Feel free to take a pencil and do this. Okay, so for my circle, pretty close up to the top, not touching the top, right? I still have a bit of a gap. So I'm going to do a circle here. I like to spiral it a bit as I do it. It's going to look a bit more like a glow, so this is good. And yeah, it's like coming down about the same, so I still have all the space for my moth. I'm going to use the same color. You can go a bit more teal if you want it slightly more minty green. Keep it light, or press light with your pencil, using some water with my paint. Okay, so for the center, it is going a little bit into the moon, so I'll just start with that center point. Okay, you can just kind of come down the center, just a little center line like this. You'll notice that the body doesn't come all the way down, so it's about here is good. And then you have a little point here, and it just kind of, see on each side, just comes out and then dips down nice and pointy on the end. Okay, so it just dips out. We're going to make it a little bit more fluffy looking later on. So a little bit wider at the top. Great. Then just fill it in as a base coat. I'm going to pretty much fill it in black later. You don't need to take black and start filling things in black just yet. Okay, so these I'm not going to do until pretty much the very end when everything is to my liking. All right. When we're doing the wings, see how they're nicely just curving around a little bit, just a little bit of a parallel line, and then it starts to curve away from the moon. So it's following it pretty close, tiny little gap between the two. And it's falling up, out, okay, and then a little bumpy line. So you want it to come up pretty high up here, not halfway down, where it's just very narrow. Something like that. So when we're doing it, if you're doing the challenge of trying to make it symmetrical without cutting it out and doing that fold in half piece of paper trick I showed you, you just want to have certain things marked down. So as I outline this, it doesn't have to be exactly the shape. I can always change it up. I'm just going to go straight across. See, that's where it starts. Follows the moon, a little gap. And where it comes up, I'm just going to, it doesn't hurt to just put a line. See, that's where it's going to go, as high up like right here. See, and it goes out, and then straight across from where it meets together again, and it meets here. So that helps make it pretty symmetrical overall. Okay. There's that part. Now the bottom wings. So it looks like it's kind of sitting behind a little bit of this one. Okay, so there's slight little bumpiness here. Right, slight little bumpiness there. Where it comes out, it looks like it's making a nice little triangular shape. So you're just going to, from here, see this like mountain shape, little bump. Okay, and then where it meets the other side of the wing, where it comes up onto the body, not down here, but a little bit up here. See, on each side, you have something like that. It just kind of comes down from there. There's little, they look like little legs right now. And you want them to come down about the same level, of course. So let's start with one side. This comes out. And it just does a nice, long little dip like that. See how it's just kind of curling out, almost like a kidney bean. And then meets with this one. Okay, so once you have one side that you're pretty happy with, all I'm going to do here, put this across like that. So that's where it comes down and meets with this line. That's coming out, great. And it makes a little mountain shape, like a triangular shape right here, where the wing sticks out at the bottom. Okay. It's going kind of 3/4 of the way across from this wing. So I would say, yeah, like about there is good. And it starts to curve out. So I'm going to follow and mimic this shape. See how it's just curving in a little bit, comes out. And there we go. So rough outline. If this is driving you nuts, take a piece of paper, outline it. You're only doing half, right? So you would have only, say, this half, for example, where you do half the body. So that when you fold it out, you get the other half of the body and the other side of the wings that are perfectly symmetrical with each other. For filling this in, I'm going to use my round brush. So when you're ready and you want to start filling things in, let's take our any round brush or flat brush that you like for filling in your background, because this is a small canvas. I don't need such a large brush. I am going to start with a kind of like a minty green, almost teal. So more white, touch more yellow to my light blue. And that very, very teal color. If it's too light, just add a touch more blue and yellow again. And add a little bit more yellow now. All right, so just wrapping it around the moon, going right on the line. Even if you go inside the moon, not a big deal. But I kind of want to make it look continuous. I even went over the body of it, so it looks like it's naturally flowing around in that glowing circle. Streaking it outwards. Pretty thick, and then a small touch of water. You can grab a bit more paint. I've went around and on the line pretty much outside the wings here. It looks like it has a bit of a glow. So you don't have to go like up on the sides here, not so much where it's darker, but for the rest of it, yeah, like just to be safe, just kind of put a little bit there so that you have that base coat. You have that glow around just in case. And if you end up covering it, because it would cover it, you can cover it with dark colors. So it's not going to be this thick overall after I do the rest of my background. But doing a bit more is always safe. Touch water. Just have to make a little bit more paint. Yep, about the same color, perfect. Going on the line. Okay, right in between. Okay, there is the start of my glow. Just made it a little bit more, again, just in case. Okay, while it's still wet, I didn't even wash off the brush. I'm just using the same one and taking straight blue right here. Starting more from edges. And just filling in the empty spots right now, but lightly. You don't want too much paint, so you can use up a lot of your paint where it's empty, so on the edges where it's white. And then just lightly follow the flow, so the circular motion around the moon, so that it blends a little bit with it. And as I get less paint, it doesn't come off too strong. Just a little bit more of a blend, so you still see a gradual, like just more of a gradient. Getting close to the moon. That gradient, just lightly press as far in as you want to go and let it mix with my wet teal paint. So I'm mostly concerned about the blend and not so much filling in all these corners. I'm going to grab more. Small touch of water, not too much. Start from the edges and then make your way in. Water, blue paint. Okay, and then make your way in towards the teal. If your teal dried, you know what? Just do this anyways. Get a little bit into your teal, and then you can go back to your teal and blend it out while it's wet. You can do it in sections too. So if you're trying to take your time and you don't want to rush anything, do like 1/2 or a section, blend it with some teal, and then continue on. So I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. I just want to get this filled. Touch of water, paint. So it feels like it's getting into some dry spots. And that's okay, because I'm going to show you if the teal went too dry, or the minty green that you put around your moon and your butterfly. You just do what you can to go really close to it, a little bit on top of the color. I just want to fill in this section here. Okay, so even though I didn't get every little spot, that's fine. As long as I got up to teal, and then you just wash it off. Okay, so I just wash it off. I go back to that color or change the color. Maybe you want it slightly more yellowy green. So the reason I like to go slightly more minty green is because there's blue, it will automatically go more blue. Okay, just go around, kind of on that line that's between the teal and the actual blue that you did, so your dark blue. It blends it out. And look at that, it's a pretty cool glow. It softens all of that, those lines. It looks like it has a nice gradual blend between the two colors. And you can always tweak, right? So just go back to some blue and bring it in as far in and close to your moth as you want. Went a little bit closer on the top part of the wing here. And kept right around the moon, nice and bright. Now, you can mostly just wash this off. It's actually kind of nice to take a little essence of the, like I didn't fully wash it off. You can also just take the tiniest little dot of your teal with a scoop of white. So it's touching, I call it contaminated white. So this white that's touching a little bit of blue or teal color. Start with that. So it's mostly white. And I call it an essence of your background. So you're just going right around the ring, like on the line. And this is right before I add, see all those details in the moon, kind of like the man in the moon. Okay, You don't even have to wash off the brush. If there's too much white, just wash it off though. Just using the same brush. And I'm going to just tap a little bit into my, I'm just making a bit of a light teal, I guess, something. It's not that light, but it's still pretty light. And then I'm going to dab with some gold, or what looks like gold, or even bronze. I'm just wiping off a lot of the paint, so that's very important. You want to use so little. See, when I tap it, it doesn't come off too strong. More on the side of the brush. It's very random. You can pick one side that's a little bit more textured than the rest, but mostly dabbed a little bit all over for the most part. Like little touches. Once again, did not wash it off. I'm going to take a bit of my gold paint. Okay, so light little taps. And if you don't have gold, I'll show you how to make a bit of a gold color. So this gold is, it's just metallic. You can mix gold by taking so some yellow, a tiny little touch of red. So you're just making like a yellowy orange. This is already, because I touched dirty yellow, see it's touching other colors. It's fine. You just add the tiniest little touch or dot of black. And it starts going yellowy brown, but with white, it goes light again. So too much black will be, it will take away from the warmth, because you can see it's more of a yellow orange than it is brown. So yellow, tiny touch of red. Okay, and then you get more of that warmth again, and it looks like gold. And you're just going to add some white. Right, so if you go and add some more white, it just gets a little bit lighter. It's just missing that shine. So there's my gold. I'm going to add a touch more white, so it can be just like a light gold. You can also use bronze. So this is my makeshift gold that I just whipped together. It still looks like the same color. It's pretty awesome. Any little lines that you want to clean up, you just go back to your light teal. You can clean up some of the lines around it, just blend it out, smush it out so it looks more faded along the rim of your moon. More glowy, I think. Okay, so back to my sword of gold. On top of your teal or blue goes a bit greenish brown, which is nice. So I welcome it. You can always add a touch more black in there if you want a little extra darkness. That was a lot of paint, so now I'm just wiping it off and trying to blend it outwards. Because you can get more of what these look like craters or that man in the moon effects, just by blobbing and concentrating a little extra darkness with more black added to your gold or brown. And then when it's dry, you can just touch up with white again, or maybe you want a light yellow, so you want a yellowy moon. You can do that. Okay, so before I move on from this, you just want to make sure that you're pretty happy with that. And we're going to just do a dark color, see around the edges that are indigo. It's very midnight blue looking, slight bit of purple. So one little tiny thing you can do is, my finger has white on it. You can make texture, not just with white, with other colors. You do the same thing, and now you have texture. Finger painting. So here's a little dip in the gold. All right. Let's do, I'm going back to my my background brush, so that round one. So that means after you wash it off, I'm going to take blue and red equal parts. It will still look, see how it's darker? It looks not quite purple, but almost like it's trying to be purple. So when you paint it on, you'll see how much darker. It still looks pretty blue. I'm using all of my paint on the edges. If you want extra darkness, you can start with this and then add in a dot of black to it. So start with that and see. You'll notice that there's so much paint on the brush, it's going to be hard to blend until you see how I just lightly press now and streak it gently from the corners inwards. So if you're a little bit more slow, like taking your time, don't do all four corners like me, because it might dry really quickly. And then it will look like you have these triangular lines. So I'm just blending out those lines, that's all. Someone's asking if I can share my monochrome paints. Which monochrome paints? Just dragging it lightly over, like a touch of water might be very good too. Not too much paint. I went very close to the wings at the top here. And you touch of water. Going right to the edge. And touch water again, a little bit of paint. And just very little paint, and just rubbing it in to get a gentle blend. Mostly worried about the corners being nice and dark. If you do one more coat of this, it will get even darker without having, you can skip the black if you don't even want to add black. Just slightly up the middle here. Perfect. Now we have our midnight sky. So whenever you feel like that's done, you can take a step back, see if it's dark enough for you. Like I said, you can do a second coat or add a tiny dot of black to the same color, just to get even more darkness on the edges. Okay, and the one other little thing you could do is go back to a bit of your teal and just very little paint if you wanted to put an extra glow. So sometimes you don't even realize if you need an extra glow until after you do the wings, which is not a bad thing to do. So you can always wait at the end. And just going back to a little bit of that. You can see kind of what I mean. A little bit of paint, just very gently and lightly. Just kind of streak a few streaks out, especially if you want that extra glow. Just lightly wisp it, pressing super light. It shows a bit of streaks, but I think it's kind of nice. Just wrapping it around, going further out away. I think the trick is also making sure that it's got a lot of white paint in it, so it looks like the difference between the background midnight color and the glow around your moth and the moon is extra bright. So nice contrast. Okay. So from here, now I can focus on pretty much everything in here. And before I do that, I am going to splatter stars, because when you get the splatter everywhere, then you can just paint over it. And that is a round brush. It's very watery, so it's about to drip. Taking a tiny touch of white, letting it soak into the brush that's watery. See, and it's still drippy. And then when I do this, I get stars. You can also just dot in your own stars at the end. So after you're done, just dot in your own stars, meaning you're just poking with your brush. Dip it in the white, and now you got brighter stars, faded stars, bigger and smaller, further away stars type of thing. So it's nice. I'm just touching up on my mostly white in the moon. You can use white with a touch of your teal or yellow, and just finalize any spots, or make white again, spots you feel like touching up. Now, as I fill in my moth, I'm going to do the body after I do most of the wings. In terms of brushes, just maybe use a little bit of a larger one. So I'm using my larger round one. My first color is pretty much a teal again. So you can see it's about the same color as your background. You can do the exact same color or switch it up. And then I blend in purple. So that bluey purple or just purple. All right, so white, dot of yellow, okay, and then 2 dots or a little piece size of blue, as teal, green, or blue as you want it to be. Yeah, it's about the same color. Great. Here's what I'm doing. Pretty much filling it in. Goes inside the body just a bit, that's fine. Okay, other side. Yes, that's about the same. It goes inside the body a bit again. Great. Got that. Now we're going to do the bottom. Just have to make a little bit more paint. So I can leave like a little gap between these two. Not a huge deal, but I just find it because I put more dark bluey purple, and it's, you can see where the wings start and begin between the top and bottom, so I'm just leaving a tiny little gap there. There we go. So I have the top and bottom pretty much filled in, not perfectly. I left a little gap between the top wings and the bottom wings. So what we can do from here is just go back to the top and start putting in a little bit of a bluey purple, or you can just do dark teal. You can pick the colors that you like most. For me, I think, so I did two colors. If you're looking to keep it simple, just go straight to purple. Just make sure it's pretty dry. I did a darker teal first, and then I did a purple to complement it. So that's more blue, touch of yellow, so it's kind of not quite green, but you know, they're just the same blue and yellow, but darker, no more white. Okay, so you can switch to something smaller for your brush. I'm just pulling a couple streaks out like this. I can even go around the edge of the wing. So I'm trying to follow like a groove here. See how it's just lightly flowing out and up a bit, letting it pick up also that background of the teal. And even on the edges, it looks like it's just folding, and just sweeping it, holding it towards the edge. Here, same thing. And folding it. So that the middles are more brighter and the ends and edges of the wings are a little bit darker. So what you could do is, of course, just add a bit of white again to your color, and you can just keep it lighter. Just take care of that. And now it's light in the middle again, just in case it's a bit too choppy. That's all. Okay, let's go back to the dark color down here. Right up to the edge pretty much. The purple will definitely be going up to the edge. And a little bit at the bottom. Just on the outer sides, so the outer sides of the wing here. So that's the outer edge all along there. And then the outer edge all along here on this side and left. And then right in the crease here. Okay. All right, it's going to start coming together. I'm actually going to start outlining. I take purple. I'm not going to do black just yet. So I'm going to use maybe a number 2 brush. You can use a number 1, number 0. I'm going to take purple. And to make a nice basic violet purple, I would do, see, like a big scoop of red and a little dab or two of blue. So it's about 3 parts red, 1 part blue, and then a smidge of white here. Now you have purple. And just the white's going to help lift it. It's going to make it look less black, because sometimes when it's really dark, it doesn't. When it was over here, it looks super dark. And if you want to touch more blue, just add a touch more blue or white. All right. So a touch of water. One of the first things that's really nice to do is just kind of go along the edge. See? On the outsides, if you want to keep it gold, just leave it. But go along right at the beginning here. Press it out. So other side, press and go out. All right. And then when you're making those patterns, that's what we're going to do. Again, just do whatever works for you, whatever feels right. I'm going to accent it in black later. However, it's going to start pretty close to the top. So almost touching this line, or I can touch the line. That's fine. Just starting with something that's like a center point to you. See how this is almost going straight across, but I'm avoiding straight lines. I want flowy and kind of small bends. This is going up and curving like that. So just soft bend, not a straight line. It looks like you're cutting things in half. So just like that, soft bend. It's almost like it's making a loop here, see? And whatever fits and whatever works. So just a little gap. So you're just going to press and soft loop it around. Maybe I will branch it off right here and loop it around. Okay, starting up here, branching it off and looping it. Awesome. So it doesn't have to be exactly what I've done. Don't force things, then it looks a bit forced. You could, after that, just gently, I'm going to add a touch more blue actually to my purple because I like the bluey purple. Just gently wisp in some streaks coming in from the edges. It looks like it's darker along the edges, in the creases a little bit darker. And hopefully that pops out more of the wing just for now. If you need to, when it's dry, or if you need to, you can blend it out with a light teal again. Sometimes you have to be careful, like it's not too wet, so it's not making too much of a muddy color. I just like to smooth out some of the edges of that purple between the two colors so it meets, just kind of blends out a tiny bit more. Excellent. Let's do the other side. Water and paint, just taking a bit more of my color. Let's just see it matches. Yep. Okay, so I followed up already on that side, and we're just making our little loops. Just want to follow it on the bottom too. You'll notice that, maybe you did notice right away, but it's not symmetrical. I'm going to follow it. Maybe I'll try to loop it around. Soft bend. Loop. Still look the same. Here, I branched it out. Maybe you kind of like that it's asymmetrical, so that's always nice to do things a little bit different on each side, because that's the beauty of butterflies and moths. All right, let's do the bottom. You don't have to fully outline in purple, but if it helps, go for it. I'm trying to keep this central point. See that line? This is center of the body, and somewhere here. And it just makes it easier for when you're matching the wings to some degree. Water, paint. So a couple streaks. Making it so that it's a little bit darker, as it looks like it kind of folds out to the edges. I'm going to do the same thing on the top wings here, which I haven't really done with the teal. Well, and I'm going to go back to my light teal to help blend it out. Okay, so back to the teal. So that light teal is between the two colors. Ooh, right in between, just smooths it out a little bit. Just remember, this is your painting. You don't need to do everything I'm doing. This is just the tiny little things that help with the overall glow. Like you have in the middle of your wings, it's a little bit brighter, and it goes darker towards the edges, and it looks pretty cool. Okay, so once again, down here, similar things. So if you want to touch up on anything else, like going back to your dark teal or maybe touching up on purple, I would just finish the wings, like outlining in black and getting these lines in to make the pattern for the wings. I'm just going to take some blue, a touch of yellow, and a touch of white. Just using my finger to smush it out too. Darker in the creases and on the edges. It's also a nice in-between color from the purple and the light teal, that's all. This is just like with the purple, right on top of the purple. Seeing these dark creases where it's already purple towards the middle, but not quite touching the middle. All right, so I'm going to do the purple down here for the wings and just doing the same purple I was doing before. Basically what I've done is I had like a nice long one sort of come down right about here. Okay. Try to match it. And then folding it out, let's say it branched out a little bit from here, so a little branch out. Close to the top. So flip, so it looks like it makes kind of joins with that loopiness I was talking about, very delicate loops. Then here, here, maybe one more here. All right. Washed off that small brush again. I would take a step back. See how that's looking too. I would fill in the body black first because I want it to mostly dry before I add the highlighted teal colors and give it that pattern. So that line, if it helps. So remember we have that little point going into the moon. And it kind of comes out like this, a little bit rounded. Definitely a little bit bigger, so I'm just going a bit wider now, keeping it pretty pointy at the bottom, and then a little bit wider at the top. So again, on this side. taking water, a bit more black paint, and just making it a little bit fluffy. So it's like those little hairs. We're just flicking out and down. A bit more of a fuzzy, fluffy, out and down, out and down. Naturally goes a little bit wider. And then I'm going to use black. I'm going to use probably my number 1 or number 0. I'm going to use my number 1. You can use the number 0. I'm going to start outlining with water and black paint, more just defined lines on the wing. So you can see it's wrapping around here. And it goes gold here, so I'm just going to go right on the top. Water paint again, and you can follow it a little bit into some of the creases here at the beginning, and then it just can fade out to purple. So it's darker in the creases. I'm going to make a circle. So if you're doing that circle too, see these? You can start outlining, making those. Okay, I'm just going to go over some of these little creases here. Especially like to do right at the bottom, so it looks like the wing is more darker and separated between the top wing and the bottom. And following this down a little bit. Okay, doing the circles again. I have one here, and then I would want one to be the same level, probably over here. Roughly the same spots. Okay, so right here, about the same spot here. All right, so you can use your number 2, number 1, any brush that you want to start filling in these circles. I filled them in with a combination of mostly the same colors I've been using. So if you have any leftover blue and yellow for teal again, small touch of white. So it's not really the very light one. It can be more of an emerald green or a darker teal. I'm just going to swoosh this in a bit. So I get a multicolor, almost like a peacock color. This is like a teal emerald green. Right, and then this is something that you can even just add into your butterfly if you want more of this color into the butterfly or the moth. Even just coming up into the purple. Put some on the edges. Just touching up a little bit on blue. Okay. So I have that. Then I can do touch of water. So I washed it off, touch of water. I'm just going to spiral it out a bit. It has a little bit more of a fill, just very gentle. And just leave that for a minute to dry. As that is drying, I did put in some purple, and then I'm going to use either my gold or my sort of gold that's not metallic that I showed you how to make. That was mostly yellow, a couple dots of red, the tiniest speck of black, and some white. You can also do bronze. And I'm going to start just outlining all around the wings, all around here, so you can see, and you can have some spots a little bit more deeper and some more light yellowy around the edges. Okay. Now for this color, so this is bronze if you're looking to do bronze. The gold I was talking about, right? If you have gold, perfect, just sort of go for it. And you can even add white if you want it to be. So if I add white to my gold, goes nice, light yellowy, gentle, soft, delicate, up the sides. Again, to mix it, let's just take, dirty yellow is great, but light yellowy color, touch of like a dot of red. Too much red, as we know, goes pinkish or creamy pink, like this color down here. See, like that. Just want it mostly yellow. So you can start with this and then go to more of your gold color. It's like a creamy color, creamy yellow. It can cover the black or not. Just mostly on the outsides, I think it's very, very nice. If you go over all around, that's fine, because you can just go back as a second coat on the top half and make it deeper bronze or gold. So you have options. And I'm just going to put this, so it's on the outsides of everything. It makes the wings look a little bit bigger if you want them to look bigger. If you go on the line and inside the line, they look a little bit thinner and smaller. Great. I'm going to make my darker gold. So in the same spot, more dirty yellow is good. Touch more red. So it's still looking like orange, but not as much red. Mostly yellow. Speck of black. Maybe a touch more yellow. I'm going to take another scoop of it. That's just a more of a muddied gold color. And a touch of white. You want to go a bit lighter. So more yellow if you want it more yellowy. Okay, so just gentle touch. I'm going to kind of go over the top here and go above the black a little bit. Then you can switch to a number 0. So it's just a tiny little touch and thicker on the upper edges and thinner closest to the body. See, like a little thin line here. And then you can just wrap it around, go a little bit thicker. And at the bottom, I added some accents at the bottom, so the outer edges were that light yellowy color. So just wrapping it around here, bringing it in, not all the way in, just a little bit. Okay, and then again, see on the sides here. A little bit darker there, darker there. Up the middle. And feel free to accent it with a touch more black added to your gold. Just where it's like shadowed, see? Right where it's coming out from the separation of the wings. A little bit of a shadow and right up the middle there. Okay, so starting to do some touch-ups. We just have to finish the circles, put the little furry bits in the body. Touch-ups afterwards. So if you want to thin things out, I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to go back to my purple. So if you have, it's just the same purple. I haven't changed it. The blue, the red, so a little extra red. The same color that we've put in here. And a little bit of white. I'm going to put it maybe on one side, like the right side. A little blob there, so it's kind of just almost like a comma. Oops, a little comma on the top left or top right. It can be in different spots. You can make it a bit more rainbow-like just by taking some blue and some white, so it's not too dark or too light. Just add a little small comma in there. Okay, and then I finish it up to make it even more rainbow-like, because right now it's really dark. Remember our, not like peachy, but yellowy color? You can do yellow, white, not too much yellow. You can even add in a touch of red, or you can, if it touches blue, great. Like you can have it slightly greenish for more of a peacock style. But just light little touches here. So as you can see, I wrapped it around like you're making a moon, like a crescent moon. And it's a little bit thicker in the middle, like that. Okay. So some fun little things you can just add to it. A little bit of light blue to give it or just green, just make it nice light green in some spots. Then you can just go back to and touch up your sort of light blue color. Just a little, it's almost like a bubble where it's got this rainbow of different colors flowing through. So I'll bring it up a bit closer. You can just go a little bit lighter blue close to the yellow. And yeah, mostly do it to your liking. It's just a light blue, that darker blue, some purple in there. You can revive, not even just the same purple, you can just do a lighter purple or magenta. Maybe you want to go a bit more red, so it's a touch more red. And it's, yeah, something to, just a little comment in there. Complements the colors throughout the painting. So what I would do is, let's see, I'm just going back to some of my purple. You can go over any lines as needed. Touch up on the purple in the creases here. Touch up on the light teal. I'm going to take my number 0, take black, touch of water. Keep touching up on my circle and the lines. Do that line that we had going up around here, just underneath the gold. Okay, so that's done. Touch up on those lines, and then you can make a white reflective dot into all the circles or just one of them. So down here you can just pick, see the outer parts, like the left side on the left one. 1, 2 little stripes. 1, 2. Looks like it has a little shine. If you want, you can do the same thing out here, right on the outer parts. Okay, and then if you're trying to shrink and maybe you have thick lines, you just have to think about, okay, what color do I really want? Like you go back to teal or just like a blue or purple, and you can just go over on top of this gold. So shrink the line just a little bit. If you think it's too thick, go and cover the line just a bit. Okay. This is dry. I'm going to go over and create some of that texture. I'm starting with, let's do a number 1 brush. Let's take just blue and a bit of white. So it's a sky blue. So I'm going to leave a small little cap at the top. I'm just going to lightly flick, leave some gaps on purpose. Like that, and then leave a little gap and do it again. So it's really close to the first layer, and now you have layers of this fuzziness. There's a little gap. You could just do the one color. You can also change it and add in some more white and a dip of yellow for that light teal again. So once again, we're just using all the same colors we've been using before. So a lot more white, a bit more yellow. Here's complementing the color. So it's just a couple little extras on top. Maybe just follow it along the edges at the bottom. You can even add in a couple purples. So I'll add purple in a minute, but I'm just getting a little extra up here, close to the tip of the head. Okay. And now my dark purple that I used in my wings, with just a little bit of white. All right. So remember your gold color, you can go a bit more brown, some more yellow, red, and a dot of black. You can save your gold for these little feathery things that are sticking out. Start with a streak. For soft bends, again, not super straight lines. You can use your gold to make the little feathery effect that you see on the outsides. tiny little flicks. I'm actually going to use my number 0 brush. And here's the thing with that is I would go black, yellow, and red. Equal parts yellow, red, and a touch of black. A couple touches of black until it's a bit darker, and you can get that dark brown. More of a thin dark brown line right through the middle. Okay, so it's about the same thing we darkened around here. Okay, so let's raise it up. Here just a bit closer so you can see right through the middle, a little bit darker, and then like little flicks, almost like little feathery antennas, and take a step back, see how it's looking. If you want to touch up on anything else, maybe a couple extra stars. Now that things are more dry, and you can see the ones that you started with that were the flicky ones, the ones that you were watery and you flicked outwards, that is a lot more faded. Try not to forget right around the moon. All right. So there it is. Oh my goodness. The Midnight Glow painting. Very glowy. So show results on our Facebook page, Artist Palette Durham region on Facebook. Maybe you went a little bit darker around the background for hopefully a extra glowy effect. So meaning it just adds more to the contrast. So we kept it very light. And then if you brought in just a little extra dark blue, purple with a bit of black added, brings out more black contrast. Or maybe you just wanted it nice and bright. Thanks for joining me, and maybe you'll paint with me again soon. This is going to be available forever, pretty much, on our on our YouTube. And we have lots of paintings already on our YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe, and you can see when we're going live. And you can also check out artistpalettedurham.com just to see what's coming up. You just go to virtual events under shop. So thank you guys. Happy painting. Bye.